Back in 2024, when the nominees for Best Animated Feature were announced, most of the movies I was pretty familiar with. Elemental, Nomura, Across the Spider-Verse, and The Boy and the Heron, which ended up winning the award that year. But there was one film that I don't think I had heard of beforehand, and that was Robot Dreams. I couldn't find where to watch it on any of the streaming services I had access to at the time, so I just dropped it in my Letterboxd watch list and decided to read the graphic novel that the movie is based on while I wait, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the polished art style, the excellent character design, the visual storytelling, and the bittersweet ending, and it made me very interested to see what the movie was going to be like. Hopefully I wouldn't have to wait too much longer. After years of waiting, I finally watched Robot Dreams. Big shout out to the library on this one. Anyways, was it worth the wait? Absolutely. This movie felt so inspiring and heartwarming while also maintaining that bittersweet tone from the graphic novel. And even though the main characters also maintain that simple, charming style from the book, the animation is gorgeous and detailed and captures the atmosphere of the city of New York and really makes it feel alive and lived in, even though I've never actually been to New York. And the background characters are so unique and fun to watch and just had such great character designs. I also love how they kept it not having any dialogue, besides some gasps and laughs and stuff like that. But one thing that I was wondering how they were going to do it was turning an only 224-page graphic novel into an hour and 42-minute movie. Well, not only does this movie not drag at all, but it kept me so engaged throughout the entire runtime. The things they added to the story to build the world and characters, the unpredictable twists and turns of false scenarios, and just the likable, relatable story of human connection told through animals and robots was just so enjoyable to watch. I also thought the score was nicely done as well. It's mostly piano with an overall jazz vibe to it, which already sounds really nice, and then there's also some other fun instruments that were used like a vibraphone and steel drums, which, can we start using more steel drums in songs and soundtracks? It's like one of the coolest sounding and looking instruments ever. And as I said before, the animation is incredible, specifically the attention to detail and the background art and the character designs. I also really liked how many brands and references there were, and this movie does that in such a way that doesn't feel like a bunch of product placement or anything. I don't know, I just found it kind of fun to see stuff and be like, oh look, there's a pack of Juicy Fruit in a drawer, and there's a magazine with Alf on it, and oh look, they're watching The Wizard of Oz, which has a Tin Man in it and works as a parallel between these two movies. Just stuff like that. Now, let's talk about the story. As I already mentioned, the pacing is great. I loved seeing the fake dream scenarios that Robot would have and being shocked when it flashes back and you realize that it wasn't real. I love Dog's character so much. His desire for personal connection feels so universal, and his attempts at seeking friendship and watching them fall flat every time are hard to watch because I just want to see Dog end up having a good friend. And that brings us to the conclusion. So if you've already seen Robot Dreams, you know that Robot ends up being found and fixed by Rascal the raccoon, who just seems like such a cool guy. He knows how to cook, he's a painter, and seems like a pretty good mechanic as well, and just seems like the perfect friend for Dog, who doesn't cook anything and doesn't seem to have any sort of a job. But in the end, Robot decides not to go back to Dog because he sees that Dog has already seemingly moved on and got another robot. And so he stays with Rascal, and Dog remains with his new robot. It's not a very happy ending, in fact it's pretty bittersweet. I guess Robot was thinking if he leaves Rascal to go back to Dog, then what about Rascal? But also, Dog ends up not finding that connection with another person or animal. Regardless if Robot went back to Dog, Dog would still be spending most of his days with a robot. I honestly just wished Rascal and Dog could have ended up being friends. They would have been such good friends. So in some ways I think it was a missed opportunity. But anyways, even though the ending is the way it is, it's still really hard for me to not like this movie. I enjoyed it so much from start, almost to finish, that even the thought of how I would have liked it to end is enough for me to be content with it. I highly recommend this one and give it 4.5 stars out of 5. If you have any movies you'd like to recommend, then let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.